Varsity Media is the tri-state area's leader in sports media production. We specialize in live streaming.
Gargiulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. And Ciolino. See you later. Touchdown, Massapequa.
Videography. And photography. Covering all sports at all levels. We feature aerial photography and videography, college recruiting videos, live streaming of games.
Top of the key, Smith. Why not? Wow. Bang! McKee, first down and more! Charlie McKee! Touchdown, Oceanside!
School events, graduations. Varsity Media is available to cover a game, a tournament, a season, or any special event.
Talk to us a little bit about what went through your mind, how you prepared for that to run such a fast speed.
Currently, spectators are limited at events. Let Varsity Media bring the event to your fans. Contact Varsity Media today for more information. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone 516-403-2050.
Well, after a week longer than the home fans wanted it to be, Garden City finally gets to have their first home game of this abbreviated Spring 2020 football season, and it's a good one. So we thank you for joining us on Varsity Media Sports Network. Matt Shortis along with Dylan Butler from Garden City High School, where we have 2-0 MacArthur coming on the road to take on 1-0 Garden City. And Dylan, if the last couple times that these two teams took to the field against each other is any indication, we are in for a good one today.
Yeah, Matt, absolute epic showdowns a year ago. It started with week 7 in the regular season. There was probably 3,000 people packed in to this field here at Garden City. A gorgeous late October afternoon. MacArthur with a 27-7 win over Garden City. Joe Manfredo, huge as quarterback. Hugh Kelleher, 145 yards on the ground. That snapped Garden City's 42-game winning streak, which was tied for the Long Island best with Floyd from 2005 to 8. You move on to the Nassau Conference 2 championship game. Garden City avenged that defeat. 16-14, Chase Gardy, the grandson of the great former Hofstra coach, the late great Joe Gardy, with the game-winning field goal, 34 seconds left. 4th straight title for Garden City and the 24th overall. There's been a lot of contenders. It's been Garden City at the top of Nassau Conference 2 for many, many years. There's been contenders. It was Mike Stanley's Cary Seahawks for a few years. Mepham had a good run, but the last few years it's been MacArthur.
So from this MacArthur team, again, no Kelleher after the graduation in last year, but they are still a ground and pound team. In a lot of ways, these two teams mirror each other in different ways. They both like to run the ball. They both prioritize physical defense. And for MacArthur, that starts at the offensive line. They've got a real stout offensive line, and at the left tackle, Matt Case is the anchor there.
He really is, and like you said, there's no superstar in Kelleher, but what they want to do very much starts at the line with Matt Case, a 2-year starter a year ago at left guard, a tremendous season he's having this year. He's smart. He stepped in as a starter a year ago. He's got an unbelievable motor, so much so that in our conversation with Bobby Fehrenbach, their head coach, he said they were watching film. They were at play maybe 78 or so. One of the assistant coaches stopped it and said, listen, Casase hasn't been off the field once on either side of the ball. That explains the motor that he has.
And for Garden City, we saw them week 1 against Cary, and they looked really good at the start on the road. Luke Schmidt in his 3rd career start, obviously very familiar with these MacArthur Generals. He looked solid. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground, and one on the ground, 2 through the air. But what more could you ask for your first opening day start for a quarterback?
Yeah, you mentioned the familiarity, and that's because Luke Schmidt's first ever varsity start at Hofstra Stadium in the championship game a year ago. Played well in that one, certainly well enough to also then earn that start in the Long Island Championship. But yeah, only 3 career starts, but he gives you just what you need him to do. He can run, he can throw a good ball. Like you said, a perfect 6 of 6 through the air, 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown as well. So he very much is that leader of the Trojans offense this year, and certainly you'd expect next year as well.
And last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, Garden City definitely benefited from having some pretty good field position early on. Cary had a couple of issues as far as special teams go. So they took advantage, got up to a big lead early on, and a lot of guys were able to play later on. So we're about ready for this one, as Garden City will kick it away. They kick it, wind at their back, north side of the field towards the train tracks on the, depending on which part of Suffolk County you're from, the Hicksville, the Ronkonkoma line, Huntington line, whichever you want to call it. But the train tracks to our right, to the north side. That is where Garden City will kick it away. And they are in the home maroon jerseys. MacArthur, the Generals, they are in the road whites with red and blue numbers and trim, and the red helmet with the blue and white striping down the middle. So a good attendance here. 2 spectators per student involved. So that includes the marching band, that includes the kick line and cheerleaders, and also visiting fans allowed on the opposite side of the field, on the MacArthur side, on the far side there as well. So as Pat Gavin getting ready to kick it away for the Trojans. Kick is off, low kick, and we are underway. A little bobble there, but scooped up at about the 5-yard line, bouncing out to the left side, and then off another tackle, still on his feet, all the way across the 30-yard line. Nice return after some initial hesitation, and MacArthur will take it at the 30-yard line to start. Nice job by Isom there. And that's exactly what Isom shows you.
Yeah.
Running out of the backfield as well.
Yeah, he's not that fall on first contact kind of guy. He will bounce off his own men. He'll bounce off would-be tacklers, but he is a lot bigger than his size at 5'8", 170 would indicate.
So Jack Butler leads the way out for MacArthur. They do have 2 quarterbacks that may play throughout this game, Jack Butler and Ryan Muller, both juniors, and head coach Bob Fehrenbach says very similar players, but they make no mistake, they've thrown the ball 3 times this year, so they are a run-first team, and they get a couple of yards on first down, but not much after that. We'll take a look at the rest of the MacArthur offense, brought to you by the Carl Place Diner, pardon me. And it's Jack Butler, and we talked about Ryan Isom. James Napoli also in the backfield with Matt Bergen. The tight ends are Mario Lagazzo and Vin Fundero. And on the offensive line, we've heard from Kicase, James Clarkson, Malau, Tufano, and Calderon. Second down and 8 for MacArthur as they move right to left here in the first possession of the game, about a minute in. Play action. MacArthur will pass, thrown off to the right side. As Garden City coming in with some good pressure. So how about that, Dylan? Only the 4th pass attempt for MacArthur this season. And they go for it on 2nd and long.
Yeah, and we saw the 3 wide receivers set up for MacArthur. A different look. Last year when they were on this field, there was not a wide receiver to be found. You had the twin tight ends. You've got fullbacks. You've got running backs. It was very much a running game. Now, this is what you want for Garden City. You want to get MacArthur into a 3rd and long type of situation to force them to try to pass.
A lone back in the backfield with receivers spread out. And again, Butler trying to scramble a little bit. Butler taken down from behind, and that'll be a loss of 1. So Garden City's defense standing up tall on the first possession of the game. And that'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, so Garden City doing exactly what they want to do. They will swarm defensively, and look, it's cliche to say it, right? But literally, this is one of those games that will be won and lost on the line. And certainly for that first possession, the Garden City line came up huge.
Jack Archer and RJ Vitruba are back to receive for Garden City. Snap is away. Low line drive kick takes a MacArthur bounce. Picked up on the bounce. And then across midfield. And we talked about quality starting field position against Cary in week 1. Well, first possession of the game, and they already begin in MacArthur territory. So Luke Schmidt comes out for Garden City. We'll take a look at the Garden City offense presented by the Carl Place Diner. And again, Schmidt with Jack Kaskadin in the backfield, along with a stout offensive line. Again, they did a really good job week 1 against Cary. Plenty of opportunities for Schmidt and Kaskadin and Archer. So it'll be 1st down and 10 at the MacArthur 43-yard line. We're in the maroon for the first time this season. I formation with Schmidt under center. Schmidt will hand off to the middle back. That's Kaskadin. Kaskadin's got a hole off to the right side, across the 30, down to the 25, where he's forced out of bounds by Matt Papak. And it's a 1st down for Garden City.
A great run by Kaskadin a week ago. 6 carries, 43 yards. Just took it to the outside. A little stiff arm as well before Papak forced them out, but that's exactly what you want. You want to change the move, and a huge gain on 1st down, a gain of 21.
Completely different look for Garden City now. Schmidt in shotgun, man in motion now. Handoff left side, and not much doing there for Kyle Carney.
Kyle Carney's rush is good for 2 yards, 2nd down and 8 yards to go.
Take a look at this MacArthur defense presented by the Carl Place Diner. MacArthur showing a 4-4 defensive front. Connor Cullen and Andrew Calderon are the ends. Casase and Malau are the inside tackles. The linebackers, Bergen, Duffy, Isom, and Forcelli. Cornerbacks are Papak and Randazzo, with James Napoli at the safety position. Man in motion, handoff right side for DeLuca. DeLuca gets a couple down to the 15-yard line. And that'll be a 3rd down and short for Garden City on the way.
That's how good of a fake that was, Matt. It was Schmidt on the run.
Oh,
he didn't even hand off. Really well done by Garden City. Nice deception on the play. Schmidt used his legs to push forward to the 15-yard line. Not the trick play that you'd expect, but...
Yeah, my eyes gave up. This time Schmidt does hand it off, and it's right at the 1st down marker.
You mentioned the maroon jerseys. It was interesting then. First time you break out the maroon, but there was already an issue. Dave Ettinger had almost, you would joke, a wardrobe type of malfunction where one of the jerseys was missing. Yep. So there was a concern of whether you had to have a number change, or he ended up, I don't know if you've got him on retainer, but went to Mineola for a seamstress to add a number that was necessary.
Yeah, Brandon Staub's 55 jersey was not a 55 yesterday. So 4th and short, they say. Initial contact in the backfield for Cascadon, but he's able to dive forward across the 10-yard line and get plenty enough for the first down. And Garden City converts on 4th and short.
You mentioned that from Cascadon. Look, he's 6'3", 210, right? So he's a big body out of the backfield. And you mentioned first contact would have got him stopped for a turnover on downs, but he just bounces off of that, gets inside the 10.
Here's Schmidt looking left side, throws it to the left side, complete to Archer. Archer gunning toward the pylon, but forced out of bounds before that. Good job by this MacArthur defense. Bob Fehrenbach, this season so far defensively, he's talked very much about how his defense has been a bend but don't break defense, where sometimes it looks like they're in trouble, but they're able to come up with the stops in the end.
Yeah, they've given up long drives in their first 2 games, especially that one, the Mepham, where I think he said it was back-to-back long drives, but no points scored. This one, though, a little bit different here. Garden City got short field and looking to cash in.
Knocking on the door, it's 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line. Throwing it to the right side, Cascadon pulls it down and steps across the end line for a touchdown.
Yeah, Cascadon started the whole party with a 21-yard gain on first down and cashes in there again. And Schmidt, how efficient is he? He doesn't throw a lot of passes, but he's now 8 of 8 on the year. 2 short ones, another short touchdown pass as well, and about as perfect an opening drive for Garden City as you could hope for.
Gerard O'Connor on for the PAT. Week 1 versus Cary, he was 4 for 4 on point after attempts. And this one is good, so 5 for 5. So Garden City gets the short field on their first possession of the game, and they punch it into the end zone. A 7-0 lead for Garden City at home midway through the first. We'll be back shortly on Varsity Media Sports Network. No, we're not.
Physical therapy at its finest.
Back at Garden City High School, Jack Cascadon, a 2-yard touchdown reception. And as much as we mentioned, back at Garden City High School, Jack Cascadon, a 2-yard touchdown reception as Garden City leads 7-0. And Dylan, as much as we mentioned Luke Schmidt having the first start against MacArthur in the county title game, Jack Cascadon missed that game due to injury at the end of the regular season. So he missed the whole postseason for Garden City a year ago. So that had to feel good.
Yeah, kind of picking up where he left off there in that first game. He kind of showed that versatility where he had 6 carries, 4 receptions, and already in this first drive, 7 plays, 43 yards. We saw him do both.
Paypack takes it for MacArthur at the 5-yard line, lowers the shoulder, but hanging in there for a stop for Garden City was Kyle Carney. So Carney took a little punishment, but still did the job. And MacArthur will start it at their own 17. So 3 and out on the first possession for the Generals offense. And we saw Butler throw it a couple times as well.
Yeah, make no mistake, though, the way that Bobby Fehrenbach wants his Generals to play is very much ground and pound, push the ball, long possessions. He said the best defense is a good offense. If we've got the ball, you can't score.
Yeah, so they like to have long, eat-em-up-the-clock possessions. Here's Isom following a blocker, rolls off one tackle, turning his legs still, and then forced back after he got out across the 20. So about a 3-yard gain on first down for MacArthur.
Ryan Issom's run is good for about 3 yards.
We'll take a look at the
Second down.
Garden City defense. We didn't see them in the first drive, or hear from them in the first drive, presented by Carl Place Diner. They run a 5-2 with Cascadin and Vitruba, the defensive ends, McDonough, Staub in the tackles, and William Blair being the nose guard. The linebackers are Pierce Archer and Colin Walsh, and the corners are Westfield and Archer, along with Durkash and DeLuca in the defensive backfield. Second down and 7 following the gain by Isom. Handoff left side this time. Isom's got some room to run out across the 30 before he's taken down. A 12-yard pickup for Ryan Isom and MacArthur, and a first down for the Generals.
Yeah, a year ago, Isom was that sort of Robin to Hugh Kelleher's Batman, but they were a great combination where Isom, even though you see he's not the biggest player, he's tough and strong. He would block for Kelleher. The same would go the other way as well, and it's not surprising to see Isom get these kind of yards that he's getting here early on. If not for Kelleher, who obviously gained nearly 2,000 yards a year ago, Isom would have been the star back.
And again, they go with the I formation, one receiver to the far side. Isom takes it this time, not much room to run, and basically right at the line of scrimmage. And then how many guys, I think, this MacArthur team, perhaps not as like top heavy as we talked about with Kelleher last year, but they play a lot of guys. How many guys in our conversation with Bobby Fehrenbeck did he say this player could play tight end, wide receiver, halfback, fullback? So there are guys on their team who are not afraid to block, can carry the ball as well, and are very versatile in their offensive scheme.
Without a doubt. And look, you know, MacArthur, he says it straight away, Fehrenbach, these are baseball and lacrosse players playing football, but when they play football for these 6 games, they are all in.
Play action, looking for payback, and he had him, but a little bit high on the pass for Butler. And that sets up a 3rd down and 9.
He says, look, we do have some football-only guys. You look at Malau, right, on the line being one of those, the leader up front, or one of the leaders up front. But it's not all that different than what Garden City has, right?
Yeah.
Where Cascadin, we mentioned him, he's a guy who's going to be a Fogo going on to play college lacrosse at Cornell. You've got a lot of lacrosse guys on this team, but for as long as the football season is, with such a great tradition on both ends, they love to put on the pads and play this sport. So it's a big deal for both communities.
And you've got a lot of lacrosse coaches as well.
Yeah.
Because Dave Ettinger is the girls lacrosse coach here, and Steve Fennell is the guys lacrosse. High snap. Butler's just going to fall on top of it. All the way back at the 12-yard line. So a loss of about 21 yards on that snap.
That's a surprise because, again, at center, you've got Greg Malau, a 3-year starter who anchors the line for all those years. He's as experienced as they come at that position, so a rare miscue, and you mentioned that field position before. It should be incredible again for Garden City. Their deep men are at the 40-yard line, or MacArthur's 40-yard line right now for this punt.
Mike Randazzo on to punt it away. Also a wide receiver on this team and in the defensive backfield as well. Randazzo steps into this one, spirals away. Takes a MacArthur bounce back across the 40, so it'll be down at the 42-yard line, and that's where Garden City will take over.
Down at MacArthur's 42-yard line, 1st and 10.
I wonder, Dylan, just to go back to the high snap, MacArthur doesn't spend a lot of time offensively with the quarterback in shotgun.
Yeah.
So you wonder how much that might have played into a miscue like that.
Without a doubt. And look, this is, like you said, Fehrenbach's team is old school in that how many teams around Long Island do we see with the spread offense, always with the quarterback in that in that shotgun formation? They're a lot different. They've run the tight ends. They've got the guy under center. So you're right. Maybe that might have played a factor. But right now, if you're MacArthur, you desperately need a defensive stop here, despite, again, giving up short field position.
So second Garden City possession, second time they start in MacArthur's side of the field. Pierce Archer takes the pitch to the right side. Archer's got some room to run. Close to a first down and beyond the first down as he gets near the 30. So a 12-yard pickup out of bounds at the 31-yard line.
We praised about Cascadin in that opening drive, but Archer is so similar, right? He's got that versatility where he lines up as a wide receiver, but he also takes that pitch and gets out for a first down, runs it for 12 yards. So another guy, a 2-year starter, 3-year varsity player.
Saw some time with Cascadin out last year as well. Here's Schmidt in some trouble, taken down from behind as Connor Cullen was in on the stop, among others.
Yeah, Cullen, how about these numbers? 13 tackles already on the season through 2 games. Another lacrosse player, good blocker. He'll play both sides. He does play both sides. Tough kid, 5'11", 185.
You wonder, you could see both sides of this. Garden City essentially has had 2 weeks or really like 10 days to prepare for this game because the game last week was called off on Wednesday, so they knew they would have some extra time. And MacArthur has now had 2 games under their belt. Here's a man in motion, and it'll be a keeper for Schmidt. Nowhere to go as Schmidt gets back to the line of scrimmage and met by a wall of MacArthur defenders.
Yeah, really good job defensively by MacArthur. That was Finn Duffy. We mentioned the numbers for Cullen. Well, Duffy does him one better. 15 tackles to lead the team so far. On offense, he's a fullback, halfback, but he is absolutely this leader of these 4 linebackers. And this also is what you want now from MacArthur. You want to set up Garden City in a 3rd and long situation.
So Schmidt goes to shotgun with Archer to his right side. Schmidt rolling to his right, has a receiver, and it's complete to Jack Downey. That's at the 20-yard line, enough for a first down. A pickup of 13 yards. So a 3rd and 11, and Garden City able to convert.
And again, how efficient is Schmidt? Just so comfortable, right, where he knows exactly what he needs to get. And that little extra spin there is what helped Downey get that first down and used every bit of that 6'5" frame of his.
Downey, an experienced wide receiver, started every game a year ago, a senior. So again, using that football IQ in a sense on that last play. Kyle Carney goes in motion here. Carney has the ball running off to the left side, shakes off one tackle, stiffs arms another, dives for the end zone, and he's short of the pylon by about a yard.
So, Matt, that was similar to the previous or 2 plays before when Schmidt actually took it himself. They run the same play, but this time they do hitch it to the outside, and a big run for a 1st and goal situation now.
I almost said to you on that, the last time they ran that play, that they almost fooled me again.
They'd rather fool the MacArthur defense than you, I would think, but.
So first down and goal from the 5-yard line, man in motion. Schmidt, plenty of time to throw. Schmidt now dancing around a little bit, and he's taken down after a pickup of 2.
Schmidt's rush is good for 3 yards. 2nd and goal for Garden City. And again, a reminder to please keep your face.
And I see some of the bigger players coming in. So a large package as they get 3 yards. So it's 2nd and goal from the 3. On their first possession, we saw that short touchdown pass to Cascadin. He's lined up in the backfield right now.
Taking everything to the right. And Cascadin lowers the shoulder, but just short. So that'll bring up 3rd down.
1-yard line, 3rd and goal for the Trojans.
This is on this area of the field on their first possession. This is where they went to a little play action and found Cascadin open in the flat. So off the right hash, 3rd and goal for Garden City. This will be a keeper for Schmidt. He is inside the end zone. 2nd rushing touchdown of the year for Luke Schmidt. And Garden City 2 for 2 on their possession so far.
Yeah, Matt, you've got so many options offensively. You can hand it off to Pierce. You can give it to Cascadin, and sometimes you just call your own number, and that was a situation. Churning those legs for that 1 yard needed was Luke Schmidt. 2 for 2 on their first 2 possessions, and the point after away from a 14-0 lead.
And it is indeed 14-0. So Garden City looking like exactly where they left off a couple weeks ago against Cary. 14-0 lead over MacArthur. Stay with us on Varsity Media Sports Network.
Are you settling for a boring live stream? Can't see the players' uniforms? No audio? Camera not following the action? Consider a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Our announcers help tell the story of your game.
Goes MacArthur. He's got. Oh, he's in. Touchdown, Farmingdale.
We feature multiple camera angles, guaranteed to capture all the action.
Touchdown, Oceanside.
Plus added features like graphics, instant replay.
Yeah, the shooters are going to shoot here at Bethpage, and one of many threes on the day.
Interviews, and more. It's your time to shine. And with Varsity Media, now you can. Contact us today and book a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone 516-403-2050.
Welcome back to Garden City High School. Matt Shortis and Dylan Butler with you on Varsity Media Sports Network. And Garden City, the home team, on top 14-0. Quarterback Luke Schmidt has figured into both of those scores. A 2-yard touchdown pass on the opening drive and a 2-yard quarterback keeper just a moment ago. Just 30 seconds remain in the first quarter. Paypack takes it at about the 7-yard line, backpedaling for that one. Paypack cutting behind a blocker and gets out to the 26-yard line, and MacArthur will have it for their third possession today. First possession, 3 and out. Last one looked a little bit better, and a high snap kind of was costly for them. Ended up really having a big turn of field position also.
Yeah, Matt, what you can't do against Garden City is get into a big deficit, especially if you're a team that isn't that sort of quick offense. MacArthur, a team that has to push the ball, have these long 14, 15 play drives. Well, if you're down 14-0 or 21-0, it's very hard to do that. So this is an important possession right now for the Generals.
Loaded backfield for MacArthur. Butler on the handoff. And Isom coming out of the pack. Isom all alone as he crosses midfield. Isom down to the 20. 10, 5, and nobody will catch up to him. Ryan Isom. You talk about 5 yards in a cloud of dust. Well, it was just that. And then it was all Ryan Isom by himself.
Yeah, well, what we just said, right? They need this is a big possession. Well, then you give it to your little big man. Ryan Isom breaks that first point of contact and goes for 75 yards to the house. A perfect response from MacArthur. And they're right back in it.
Fourth touchdown rush of the season for Ryan Isom. And you don't always think about a ground attack as a big play offense, but that was a big play that gave a jolt of life to this MacArthur offense right there. A whistle as a flag is down. We'll see what the penalty marker is. Well, it's down. We have a moment. Alyssa Accordino is on for the point after for MacArthur. She is a senior, plays on the girls soccer team at MacArthur as well. She was 3 of 5 in the so far this season. She missed her first 2-point after attempt. She told Coach Fehrenbach it was the most nervous she's been in her entire life.
Yes.
Taking those first couple, but she has since settled down. And in her first year kicking for the MacArthur Generals.
Yeah, Matt, she's sort of, and of course as we hype her up, they're going to go for 2 now off the penalty of the Garden City. But, yeah, no, listen, Accordino, she's been sort of hinting at wanting to do this for the last couple of years and maybe shied away from it, but she's out there now. Fehrenbach says she's an unbelievable, never mind athlete, just a terrific person to have on his team, just always smiling, always laughing, and she's very much supported by this MacArthur team.
So we had an offsides by Garden City. MacArthur will try and take the opportunity to go for 2 now. A rush for Butler. Butler is in. So MacArthur able to convert on the 2-point conversion. And after a quarter that has been dominated time of possession-wise and offensively by Garden City, MacArthur with one big play right back in this game.
It's funny, it's not all dissimilar to one of the previous Varsity Media games of the week we had. We were out at Oceanside, and Oceanside against Syosset. Oceanside had possession, Matt, for 11 minutes and 55 seconds of the first quarter. Luca Catolo takes it to the house for a long touchdown run. We had it as one of our Varsity Media plays of the week as well. So it was one of those where Oceanside, you'd think, would have a huge lead off of their just dominance of a first quarter of possession, and Catola takes it to the house. Same here with Isom going 75 yards. You get the 2-point conversion as well, and it is a tight ball game.
So our first chance to see MacArthur kick off today, as Finn Duffy will kick it away. Shallow end-over-end kick received by Jack Archer. Archer skips across the 25-yard line and tackled at the 35 with just 6 seconds remaining in the first quarter of play. So Garden City will take back over. First possession of theirs not starting in MacArthur territory.
Yeah.
But still pretty good. They'll start at their own 35-yard line.
Yeah, their first possession started at the 43. They went 7 plays where Schmidt found Cascadin for a 2-yard touchdown pass, and then their second drive started at the MacArthur 42, which went 8 plays for that 1-yard quarterback keeper by Schmidt.
4 wide receivers set for Garden City as they spread out with 6 seconds left in the first quarter. Pass to the right side for Downey. It's complete, and Downey bounces across the 40, near the 45-yard line, and a good pickup on first down. And second and short coming up when we begin the second quarter. So after the first quarter of play, Garden City leads MacArthur by a score of 14-8. We'll keep it here. We'd like to thank our sponsors for today's broadcast. The Carl Place Diner has been proudly serving Long Island for over 35 years, and Steam Squad carpet cleaners. Got dirt, got stains, got stink. Get the Steam Squad. Book now and get 10% off when you mention this at steamsquad.com, 516-567-8966. Optimum Pest Control. Protect your home with a company you can trust. 15% off mosquito service until May 1st. Call them at 516-509-8362. And the Sandwolf Quarterback Academy is a premier, groundbreaking program in the world of athletics. We are athlete-specific. Our attention to detail and genuine care for our athletes are second to none, and the bonds we create are lifetime bonds. Contact them at 804-986-2821. And the Carl Place Diner has been proudly serving Long Island for over 35 years. Open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week, and serving up all your diner favorites. Located at 151 Old Country Road, Carl Place, New York.
Matt, I passed the Carl Place Diner on the way here, packed out. I mean, there was not a room in that parking lot.
Prime real estate if you want to hit a pregame meal,
yeah,
or postgame meal if you're coming to Garden City. And the Trojans have the ball. They move right to left towards the high school, towards the south end zone here at Garden City High School. Here's Schmidt throwing on the run, looking for Mike DeLuca, and overthrows his intended target a little bit, and that'll make it third down and short.
By the way, Matt, that's his first incompletion of the season.
Yep.
So far. He was 10 of 10 to that point, 4 of 4 in this game for 32 yards, and it again just speaks to Schmidt's efficiency. And you see him and you say, oh, yeah, he's a returning starting quarterback. He must have 20 starts under his belt. But as you mentioned, this matchup in the Nassau Conference 2 final was his first as a varsity starter.
Yeah. So coming into today, he has 3 starts under his belt, and now make it 4 after today. 3rd down and short, just shy of midfield for the Trojans, opening minutes of the second quarter. Here's Schmidt, handoff, ball pops out, and Garden City believe will hold on to the possession. MacArthur saying they have it. A Trojan, from my eyes, fell on it first. And it is MacArthur ball.
And Matt, you give Duffy 21, I think, the credit to force that fumble. And what a turn of momentum this is. Here's another look. Watch 21 come in as a linebacker. Right there, that first point of contact, he forces the fumble. And I think the big fella falls on it, right? Was that Greg Malau?
Yeah. Malau, a 3-year starter. He was hurt in the semifinals last year and wound up missing the Nassau County Championship game.
So off of Isom's big run, right, that 75-yard touchdown, now you get a turnover on downs. Again, Garden City scored in their first 2 possessions, and how about this for field position, right? You've got MacArthur starting at the Garden City 36.
Garden City, I believe, only punted once in week 1, so they've not had a lot of times where they haven't scored offensively. And MacArthur will take over in Garden City territory. Run to the left side. And nothing doing there.
Yeah, that time Finn Duffy as the running back, but just wrapped up. Nowhere to go. Pierce Archer in on the tackle. So a no gain on the play. 2nd and 10 from the 36-yard line.
And this is, I think, a point where maybe we see this game start to settle in and it becomes a bit more of a defensive type stalwart battle.
Yeah, a little more like that county final where it was 16-14 and he had a field goal in the final 30 seconds to decide it.
2nd down and 10 from the 37-yard line. Isom trying to wait it out. Nothing doing there. And tackled from behind by Brendan Staub. Double Nichols. He whose jersey was in doubt up until yesterday afternoon.
Well, there's no doubt he was going to play and
Yes.
certainly factor in. 6'1", 200 as a junior, a Cornell commit on defense. He was a two-way starter as a sophomore. Dave Ettinger calls him one of the toughest kids we have, which is a tremendous compliment when you consider just the overall toughness of this squad.
So a 3-yard gain makes it 3rd down and 7 at the 34-yard line of Garden City. So the quarterback goes in motion in Butler. And we go with a little wildcat. Here's Isom taking it. Isom wrapped up after a 2-yard pickup. Looked like he was going to have a hole, and that closed real quick.
And I think it was Cascadden who came in on the tackle, and Fahrenbach said we have to watch out. We always have to watch out for Garden City's trick plays. They're the first bit of trickery that we've seen this day where Butler goes out. You see the wildcat to Isom, but a great read by Cascadden to stop Isom for just a minimal gain. So an interesting situation here. It's a 4th and 8 from the 32. Will they punt it and try to pin Garden City deep or go for it here?
Yeah, so they need to get to the 26-yard line for a 1st down. Right now, Butler and the offense are out there. Sort of that middle territory. Butler, play action. He'll tuck and run now. Butler lowers the shoulder, fighting for inches, but he's going to be a yard plus short. So a turnover on downs, and Garden City will have it back.
Yeah, you mentioned Butler turns. Looks like he's going to throw the ball. We saw him throw a pretty good ball in the pregame. And as much as it seemed to open up, it closed up that quick, and Cascadden again in among a host of tacklers for the turnover on down. So Garden City bent a little bit too on that. You give up the big play, then you turn it over, and but then you get the turnover right back on downs. This, though, their worst field position. So if you're Bobby Fehrenbach, you play the percentages, not the worst thing in the world where you've got Garden City starting at their own 28-yard line.
Yeah, so not able to capitalize on the fumble and a score of putting points on the board, but they are able to turn the field position game a little bit more in their favor. 1st and 10 for Garden City from their own 28-yard line. Wrapped up. No, it's not. It's Schmidt off to the left side, bouncing off a tackle across the 50. Schmidt's got a blocker with him. Nobody's going to catch up to him. Luke Schmidt, a 72-yard run for Garden City. And the Trojans back on top by a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, for the last 15 yards of that, it looked like him and Staub were having a great conversation. He was the only one closest. You see it here. Watch 55. I got your back, bud. Nice touchdown run. How's everything going? You good? Get in the end zone. Nobody in white anywhere near that duo. And our second big play of the game and another great play fake as well. Schmidt takes it to the house.
I don't know what it is about Kyle Carney because it doesn't seem like they're doing anything special on their play fakes, but that's twice where the MacArthur defense is really bit on Carney having the ball when Schmidt kept it. O'Connor on, and now makes it 3 for 3 on the afternoon. 21-8, Garden City leads. Few minutes into the second quarter here. We'll step aside. Stay with us on Varsity Media Sports Network. Luke Schmidt has looked so strong today. Another 3 touchdowns after 3 touchdowns in week 1. Today he's got 2 on the ground. Started off the game with a 2-yard touchdown pass, a 2-yard touchdown run, and a 72-yard keeper on that last Garden City touchdown. On the kickoff, a high, shallow kick ends up taking a Garden City bounce all the way inside the 10-yard line where Paypack has to fall on it, and MacArthur will have it deep in their own zone.
Yeah, the problem for that for MacArthur was you were in between decisions there where Isom saw the ball, he thought about getting it, but it was a little bit further. The wind playing some tricks there. It takes the Garden City bounce. So instead of maybe fielding it and getting out to the 30, now you're starting from your own 8-yard line.
You mentioned the wind, Dylan. If you look at the high flag across from us directly, that flag is pretty much blowing north, maybe a little bit northeast. If you look at the low flags by the fence that are like 6-8 foot high, those are blowing more easterly. So we have a bit of a swirling wind. Those are the low flags along the far fence line there. So 1st and 10 from the MacArthur 8-yard line. Dangerous spot for the Generals right now. Here's Isom, bounces off a tackle to the right side and pushed out of bounds by Will Peters, crossing the 15-yard line. So a good pickup on 1st and 10 for the Generals. Get him a little bit of breathing room and make it 2nd down and about 2.
You can see how, and there you see the one of the flag. That's the high flag at Garden City High School. So that is going that one way, right? But then the other flags are kind of curling and turning the other way.
Yesterday we had probably I don't know if our first nice day, but definitely the nicest weather day we've had this spring. But also the wind was whipping around yesterday as well.
Yeah.
2nd down and 2 from the MacArthur 17-yard line. So they have their work cut out for them on this drive. A bounce out to the right side for Finn Duffy. And Duffy's got himself a first down.
Yeah, Duffy, 3 carries for 10 yards in game 1. But you could see how he's kind of taking that role that we would normally see a James Napoli take. So he's getting a few of those extra carries, but does a good job kind of cutting into the inside to get the first down and a little bit more. 10 yards on that gain.
As a team, MacArthur has been not banged up in terms of injuries, but guys have had to miss games because of contact tracing procedures. So they haven't really had full strength, full roster for any game this season.
This would have been the first, but then you've got a few more guys now who are out.
Here's Isom trying to stretch out for a few more. And again, for his size at 5'8", 170, he is a tough guy to bring down. The amount of yards he gets after that initial contact is really what makes him a special player.
Yeah, he's tough. He's got that great balance, the vision as well. You know, you talk about toughness, but vision is also so important just because you've got to be able to cut into the right spaces, know when to cut it to the outside or get it to the outside. But one thing is certain about Isom is he's always churning those legs. A gain of 8 on that play.
So 2nd and a long 2. And MacArthur's starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm offensively here. Handoff there for Matt Bergen, first carry of the game for the junior fullback.
He's one of those guys you were mentioning before, missed week 1 in quarantine. Generally speaking, he's that blocker, but we mentioned it before, right? There's guys who are so versatile, so this time an Isom will block for a Bergen. He could also split out wide, so he's got that versatility. Also one of the return guys as well. So it's a 3rd and 1 now from the 35-yard line.
Probably even if we measured it out, a little bit less than a full yard. That'll be a keeper for Butler. Butler moving the pile forward, and it continues to go forward. They get about 6 there when they were hoping to get 1.
Yeah, listen, Matt, you don't have the stud, right, in Kelleher that you had. But one thing you have is depth. But the other thing that you have that Fehrenbach said is maybe his biggest line that he's ever had, right? So if you go left to right, you've got 6'2", 265, 6 foot 265, 6 foot 330, and 5'10", 285 pushing that pile along. Oh, excuse me. Also, right tackle 6'2", 250.
Yeah. And the tight ends adding some additional depth there as well in Lagazzo and Fondero. So fresh set of downs for the Generals, and now, again, this is the style of game that Bob Fehrenbach and MacArthur hope to play.
Yeah, this is their 6th play of this drive.
1st and 10 from the 42-yard line. Handoff to the fullback, Bergen again. Bergen, stiff arm, bouncing out to the left side, gets a few more. Spun down at midfield, and a pickup of 8 on 1st down for the junior Matt Bergen.
So not unlike Isom, right, where he gets the stiff arm, the first point of contact, continues to move the legs, and gets out to a good 8-yard gain. You see it again. He's hit just about at the line, pops out to the left, a little stiff arm, and gets out towards midfield.
And we had Duffy acting as a fullback on that drive, or that last play. Ryan Larkin also in as a tight end. 2nd down and a longer 2. And this is Duffy carrying the ball across midfield, has a first down as he picks up about 6 yards.
Another first down run, so the 3rd of this drive. And what you like to see if you're Fehrenbach is, like last year, Kelleher would have like 25, 26 carries a game, right? He would never get tired. But here, you're using multiple guys, so it's not just Isom. In this drive, you've got Duffy and also Bergen, as well.
Closing in on the 5-minute mark of this first half, Garden City leading 21-18. And first down for MacArthur. Isom has the carry, and Isom nowhere to go. First man there for Garden City was Andrew Crasulio. And a few others there for the Trojans as well.
A rare no gain for Ryan Isom. And that's one where you when you run into the teeth of the Garden City defense, you're not usually kind of bouncing off of that and getting to the outside. It's generally going to be exactly what that was. But this absolutely the longest possession that we've seen MacArthur have to this point. This is the 9th play of their drive.
And their lone scoring drive was one play for 75 yards. Second down and 10. This handoff to Bergen. Bergen rolling out to the left side. A pickup of 4. And make it 3 as he's at the 41-yard line.
Yeah, good job by Will Peters, the junior linebacker, with that tackle. And you can see him here, 45, wraps him up, nowhere to go. So a gain of 3, and once again, this is what you want if you're Garden City, a 3rd and long type of situation. You want to try to force them into a throwing situation, but as we see MacArthur line up, no wide receivers to be had.
Yeah, they might be treating this as a 4-down opportunity on the other side of the 50. Here's Isom, a little hesitation. Isom tripped up, undercut at the 35-yard line. He'll be a yard short.
Butler's handoff to Lagazzo is down to around the 35-yard line. It'll be 4th and short.
So, yeah, I would say 4th and 1 here. Again, absolutely where you are. And if you're Fehrenbach and MacArthur, and I'm sure you're telling your guys, look, we've done so much hard work to get from our own 8-yard line, we can get that one more yard. And again, you've got the versatility here where you've got to have Garden City's defense thinking, is it going to be a keeper by Butler? Is it Isom?
Bergen. So 4th and 1, Butler under center. When he had a 3rd and 1 earlier this drive, he took it himself. He does it again here. He falls forward. The marker right now is beyond the first down, and Butler, I think, did get enough. He stayed on his feet and was forced down beyond the line of scrimmage after.
Well, here's the thing, too. Here's a problem for MacArthur is that Butler went down. That last little bit of contact might, again, we don't want to speculate up here, but he might have twisted that knee a little bit. And you could see the trainers for both teams out quickly to get to Butler. Now, the thing is, in our conversation with Fehrenbach, is, he said, we spoke to him, Thursday?
Yeah, Wednesday, I believe it was.
He didn't know who his starter would be because he had that much confidence in his 2 quarterbacks, in Butler and Ryan Muller. He said in practice, Fehrenbach likes to line up behind the defense, right? So when the defensive linemen, and we mentioned how big those guys are, right? When they stand up, Fehrenbach can't physically see the quarterback.
Yeah.
But he said the throws are the same. So he sees the ball whip through the backfield. He can't tell whether it was Butler or Muller. Now, Butler was the guy who was quarantined in week 1, so he missed it. Muller was the lone guy. Week 2, they just split. They went series for series, and they both saw their time. So certainly, based on situation here, it would seem like we are likely to see Muller. And as good as Butler has been in this first portion of this game, Fehrenbach and the Generals would certainly have confidence in a guy like Muller.
So it looks like Butler again is getting tended to. They are taking things off the cart, which would indicate that maybe he needs to be helped off. So we'll see. Jack Butler going down for MacArthur in the midst of this drive. 2:25 remaining in the first quarter. We'll take a break on Varsity Media Sports Network.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area's leader in sports media production. We specialize in live streaming,
Gargiulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. And Ciolino. See you later. Touchdown, Massapequa.
videography, and photography. Covering all sports at all levels. We feature aerial photography and videography, college recruiting videos, live streaming of games,
Top of the key, Smith. Why not? Wow. Bang. McKee, first down and more. Charlie McKee. Touchdown, Oceanside.
school events, graduations. Varsity Media is available to cover a game, a tournament, a season, or any special event.
Talk to us a little bit about what went through your mind, how you prepared for that to run such a fast speed.
Currently, spectators are limited at events. Let Varsity Media bring the event to your fans. Contact Varsity Media today for more information. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone
516-403-2050.
Physical therapy at its finest.
Now is the time to promote your business on our broadcasts.
Now Farmingdale will fire and find the back of the net.
Top of the key, 4-3, good.
With viewership in the thousands, your company will get the local attention it needs. Best of all, we offer affordable rates. High school sports online audiences are growing. Take advantage by advertising with Varsity Media.
Hands off, three-point shot is up and in. You back him back 3 yards, it doesn't matter. Touchdown, Freeport.
Contact us today, 516-403-2050, varsitymedia.net.
So Jack Butler getting helped onto the cart there, and you could see they're elevating his right leg, and that was the area he grabbed right to his knee pretty much as soon as he was tackled. And I mean, Dylan, you hate to see this anytime, but especially this season where these guys have waited so long. They didn't know if they would get a football season this year, and for as well as they were playing. It's an unfortunate timing for an injury.
Want to also give some credit or props here to the crowd here at Garden City, right? A great reaction from this crowd. An ovation for Butler as he is carted off. And we mentioned it before, during this stoppage that we had, you know, as tough as it is to lose Butler, it's a next man up mentality, and that's going to be Ryan Muller, who they're both juniors. They're both around the same size. They're both 5'10". They both have the same throws. Bobby Fehrenbach said he struggled to find much of a difference between the two of them. He said maybe Butler gets it out quicker, but he said if he gets in on Muller and tells him to release the ball right away,
he would do it.
He responds. He responds pretty quickly.
So Ryan Muller this season, he's thrown the ball twice, completed both of those passes, 93 yards and a touchdown. 3 carries for 8 yards on the ground with a rushing touchdown as well. They did give Jack Butler forward progress there. So MacArthur has 1st and 10, 2:20 to go in his first half, trailing Garden City 21-8. So Muller, Isom will take it off to the left side. Garden City defense fooled a little bit. Isom swims inside a defender and picks up 9 there, down to about the 23-yard line.
And a great cut inside by Isom. First he popped it to the outside, past Cascadin. And watch here, he'll just cut inside. And again, that's that vision we talked about, where he kind of sees the play ahead of him, gets out to the 25-yard line. You mentioned a gain of 9 on that. He's now got 12 carries for 126 yards.
And about half of those coming on that 75-yard touchdown run. Here's Isom tripped up by a Garden City player that was already down. And he falls forward for close to a first down, but now a MacArthur offensive lineman is down.
And I believe it's Nick Malau, the younger brother of Greg Malau, 63. He came in as he wasn't scheduled to be the starter here today, but sophomore has worked hard. He provides depth on this offensive line, and depth is something that Barry Fehrenbach said he had coming in, and certainly is being tested here this afternoon.
Dylan, you don't want to blame any particular thing, but with the specifics of what athletes, what coaches, what administrators, what everybody's being asked to do in a shortened time frame, you wonder if these are, and again, it probably seems bigger because we had 2 injuries in a short period of time, but our guys as conditioned as they could be, because normal football season we have summer camps, we have all this long preseason, guys working out over the summer, but because of everything related to COVID, they've not been able to do any of those things.
Yeah, it was part of a conversation I had with Russ Ellen, the longtime Freeport coach. His part of this conversation, or his frustration, was more about having guys, a younger team, ready play-wise. But sure. he was walking me through the calendar. He said, look, we're on the field in April, kind of working on a couple things. In the summer, we've got them going. They're in the weight room. He said, think about it. He goes, the track has been closed. The weight room has been closed. So it is kind of a sprint to get to this abbreviated season.
They did get a first down there, so 1st and 10 from the 24-yard line. 1:23 to go in this first half. This will be Isom. Isom jumps over one tackle, around another, spins out of a third, and fights his way for another 9 yards.
I mean, how impressive has Ryan Isom been here? And this is a typical or prototypical drive for MacArthur. This is how you draw it up.
And this drive started back on the 8-yard line. Well, Dylan counts how many plays they've run.
This is play 15 from the 15. And this is what you do, right? When you get a possession like this, you force the defense. They've been on the field for a very long time. So Steve Fennell, you mentioned before, lacrosse coaches. He's a defensive coordinator and wants to talk things over now with his defensive group.
So timeout, Garden City with 51 seconds left. And Dylan, we talked about it a little bit before. 1-0 Garden City, 2-0 MacArthur. Garden City was supposed to have a game last week against Valley Stream Central, and what ended up happening is somebody on Valley Stream tested positive, so the game ends up getting canceled. I find out about this on Wednesday. Pretty short window to try and find another opponent, and Garden City, they put out some early feelers, but didn't really get that far. So this really the first action that they're seeing in a close later game situation. They had a big lead early on against Cary, so a lot of things that are untested so far in week 3, but even though we're halfway through the season at this point. 2nd and a long 2 for MacArthur. Inside a minute to play. Generals have all 3 timeouts remaining. Here's Isom, hit in the backfield and brought down.
Yeah, Colin Walsh again. This is their first tackle for a loss as another timeout is called. This one by MacArthur, but Walsh, he's a guy who offensively played sparingly a year ago, but he's a senior, 5'8", 200, really good with his assignments, and they're just busted through the line, and the linebacker did something that I don't think anyone else has been able to do today, which is hit Ryan Isom for a loss.
Well, the officials on the field are signaling up to here. There's 39 seconds on the scoreboard right now, and we'll see what they adjust that to. It's going to be 43 seconds, so 4 more seconds for this MacArthur offense to work with. And this really is a pretty big series. MacArthur's down by 2. They had cut it to a 14-8 lead after that initial touchdown, forced a fumble by Garden City, but then Garden City able to come up with a stop defensively there, and then a big run by Schmidt, the quarterback, to extend this lead. MacArthur has had it for a long time, and Garden City gets the ball to start the second half.
That was the point I was about to make, is that's what makes this even larger, right? Where you've got to get in the end zone when you realize that Garden City does have the ball coming out.
So 3rd down and 5 after that loss in the backfield from Isom. Play action, pass knocked away, batted down. Well defended by the linebacker, Pierce Archer. And that'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, this is their second 4th down on this drive that started on their own 8. They went 4th and 1, and that was that 1-yard run by Butler, and unfortunately injured on it. So they'll try again to convert here as we've got just under. Oh, looks like they're going to try to kick the field goal.
So Alyssa Accordino coming on.
35-yarder.
Yeah. Paypack the holder. Wind at her back. So a 35-yard field goal attempt. Snap is down. Kick is on the way. Looks like it's got enough distance, but it is wide left. So plenty of leg, but pulled it a little bit to the left side. And a long drive for MacArthur that started on the 8 stalls out in Garden City territory.
Did you see, too, on that, the first person to sort of pat Accordino on the head and say, don't even worry about it, was Paypack. And again, this speaks to a little bit of this mutual respect they have for their kicker. And as you detailed, when we thought she was going to kick her first PAT, is, you know, she misses her first 2. She was so nervous about that. She's nailed her next 3, and how about that for a show of confidence as well? A 35-yard field goal attempt, as it looks like Garden City will take a knee here to close out this first half.
And that they will. With 35 seconds, the official on the field is saying to run the clock from up here. And the teams will go into halftime with Garden City up by a couple of scores. So that game, first half, really had a little bit of everything, Dylan. We had some big plays. We had a couple turnovers, turnover on downs, a field goal attempt, which seems to be more rare these days.
Yeah.
And Garden City has a 21-8 lead after one half of play.
Yeah, I think it's about as big or as good a first half as we expected it to be. And also, it's something that we'll detail as this game goes on. But this game, there's still some football left, obviously, in the regular season. But you would think this one is for pecking order of who finishes maybe 1-2 in the conference. But that looms even larger this year with the championship games and even the semifinals not being played at Hofstra. So now if you're Garden City or MacArthur, you could potentially host a championship, a county final with your fans and in your stadium. So that makes this game, I think, even larger.
At halftime, Garden City on top of MacArthur, 21-8. We'll step aside here at halftime on Varsity Media Sports Network.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area's leader in sports media production. We specialize in live streaming.
Gargiulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. And Ciolino. See you later. Touchdown, Massapequa.
Videography. and photography. Covering all sports at all levels. We feature aerial photography and videography, college recruiting videos, live streaming of games.
Top of the key, Smith. Why not?
Wow.
Bang!
McKee, first down and more. Charlie McKee. Touchdown Oceanside.
School events, graduations. Varsity Media is available to cover a game, a tournament, a season, or any special event.
Talk to us a little bit about what went through your mind, how you prepared for that to run such a fast speed.
Currently, spectators are limited at events. Let Varsity Media bring the event to your fans. Contact Varsity Media today for more information. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone
516-403-2050.
Please welcome the Garden City High School varsity cheerleaders to the field. Thank you to all the seniors for choreographing this routine. Leo Lugato, Kim Farkas, Chrissy Mackey, Eric Tiedemann, Julie Murphy, Brooke Welsh, Alex Vlajanides, Callie Alden, Grace Asher, Christina Calori, Kayla Laraca, and Sophia Samardich. Thank you to our Garden City High School varsity cheerleaders. Now presenting Garden City High School Kick Line, coached by Samantha Samuel and Denise Holtz. This routine was choreographed by Emma Gillen, Julia Lamonto, and Hannah Fletcher. Team captains are Emma Gillen, Nate Kinney, Julia Lamonto, Lily Malone, and Hannah Fletcher.
Halftime festivities going on at Garden City High School with the home team, the Trojans, on top 21-8 over MacArthur. Matt Shortis, Dylan Butler with you, and today we'd like to thank our sponsors for this afternoon's broadcast. Steam Squad. Got dirt, got stains, got stink. Get the Steam Squad. Book now and get 10% off when you mention this ad. SteamSquad.com or 516-567-8966. Protect your home with a company you can trust. Optimum Pest Control. 15% off mosquito service until May 1st. Call them at 516-509-8362. The Sandwolf Quarterback Academy is a premier, groundbreaking program in the world of athletics. We are athlete-specific. Our attention to detail and genuine care for our athletes are second to none, and the bonds we create are lifetime bonds. Contact them today at 804-986-2821. And the Carl Place Diner has been proudly serving Long Island for over 35 years, open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days per week, and serving up all your diner favorites. Located on 151 Old Country Road, Carl Place, New York. Third quarter coming up in just a moment, 21-8, Garden City leading. They will have the ball when we come back on Varsity Media Sports Network.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area's leader in sports media production. We specialize in live streaming.
Gargiulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. And Ciolino. See you later. Touchdown, Massapequa.
Videography. And photography. Covering all sports at all levels. We feature aerial photography and videography, college recruiting videos, live streaming of games.
Top of the key, Smith. Why not? Wow. Bang. McKee, first down and more. Charlie McKee. Touchdown, Oceanside.
School events, graduations. Varsity Media is available to cover a game, a tournament, a season, or any special event.
Talk to us a little bit about what went through your mind, how you prepared for that to run such a fast speed.
Currently, spectators are limited at events. Let Varsity Media bring the event to your fans. Contact Varsity Media today for more information. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone
516-403-2050.
Back at Garden City High School, Matt Shortis and Dylan Butler with you as Garden City leads 21-8 over MacArthur. And Dylan, Garden City offensively, they look pretty good in this game so far.
They did. And it was actually MacArthur who had the ball first, and the defense of Garden City held them to a 3-and-out. Great field position for Garden City on their first drive, and they only needed 7 plays to go 43 yards, and it was Luke Schmidt to that man, Jack Cascadden, for a 2-yard touchdown pass. The extra point was good, which gave Garden City the 7-0 lead with 7:02 left in the first quarter. Another 3-and-out for MacArthur. More short field position. And another touchdown for Garden City on their next possession. This time they went 8 plays for 42 yards, and it was that man again, Luke Schmidt, capitalizing for GC. A 1-yard touchdown run. Here it is. Calls his own number, pushes ahead, and that gave Garden City the 14-0 lead with 30 seconds left in the first quarter. So we said it was important for MacArthur to have a response to being a big possession, their next one. It started on their own 25-yard line, but they didn't need much time or plays to score, because on the very first play of this drive, Ryan Isom goes the distance for a 75-yard touchdown run. Isom in the first half, 15 carries for 134 yards and that score. They went for 2. That was good, so it was 14-8 with 12 seconds left in the first quarter. Talk about short scoring drives. Well, Garden City had the response of their own, and again, it was Luke Schmidt. We talked about him at the very start, about how important he is to this team, and he would start the next drive, Garden City's drive, that is, on their own 28-yard line, and he scored on the very first play that he called, a 72-yard run to the house. Schmidt had 6 carries for 78 yards and 2 touchdown runs in that first half. He was also 4 of 5 for 32 yards and a touchdown as well. So a very efficient first half for Schmidt. And that's the difference right now, 21-8. MacArthur went on a very long drive at the end of that quarter.
Yeah,
18 plays. I had a count there. An 18-play drive which stalled out on the 18-yard line, where a 35-yard field goal had the distance. It was just wide left, and that's how the first half ended. And significant that MacArthur was unable to capitalize on that last drive because Garden City has the ball to start this second half.
And interested to see what MacArthur will do or can do coming off of that drive. That was, barring not scoring, it was their best drive of the day. The one score they had came on one long play from Isom, and that was much more the style of football they want to be playing. So we'll see if they can continue that with some of their possessions. And again, for Garden City, if they come out and put another touchdown on the board here, that's a tall order for MacArthur to come back from there. Their offense just isn't really designed to fight back from a 3-touchdown deficit. So this is a big opening drive of the third quarter as we get ready to go here. So MacArthur will kick it away left to right. Low end-over-end kick, mishandled, and then picked up at about the 4-yard line. And then a little bit of an opening here, out across the 30 to the 33. So works out pretty well for Garden City for Jack Archer.
Yeah, younger brother of Pierce Archer, and starts on the defensive side of the ball. And that was one where it looked like it was going to be a disaster for Garden City, where they'd have the ball at maybe their own 3 or 4 yard line, and then instead, it's not certainly the field position they had in the first half, but it's a lot better to start on your own 32-yard line.
Jack Archer, one of a handful of sophomores that Garden City has on this roster, including R.J. Vertruba, Jack Lutz, and Sawyer Olson, along with Stephen Fennell Jr.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys saw some time in Week 1 against Cary second half as well. So 1st and 10, Garden City from the 32-yard line, and a whistle, and it looked like MacArthur might have jumped.
Let me tell you something about Stevie Fennell Jr. as well. Again, we're not technically in lacrosse season, although it is lacrosse weather. I joked with you off air before we came here. But he is legit as a sophomore. He's going to be one of the better players, certainly on Long Island, if not the country, in a few years. Just with his size as well, his dodging ability, and he shoots from multiple angles. I know we're in a different sport right now, but I saw him over the summer, just so impressed with him.
You're already excited for 6 weeks from now. Probably not even at this point. 1st and 5 for Garden City. A handoff for Cascadon to the right side. Cascadon's going to be wrapped up in the backfield, though, and that'll be a loss of 5.
Well, that's the way if you get a penalty defensively where you make up for it with just going right back the other way. And Cascadon was so good in that early portion, that first drive, showing his versatility. And this time we see the MacArthur defense coming up with a big play.
So that will make it 2nd down and 10. And again, this defense looked better after that that first quarter, but again, I don't know what it is. Luke Schmidt.
No, I was with you, by the way.
To Kyle Carney.
100%.
Because it doesn't seem like Carney and Schmidt are doing anything extra special. I don't know if it's just the way that Carney sells it and his speed as he's coming across, but MacArthur's defense bit there, and Schmidt was able to take it forward for about 6.
I did as well because I was following Carney. That's how well they execute that.
The only saving grace there was Carney was coming towards us, so you could see he wasn't holding the ball. Pitch to the right side for Pierce Archer. Archer's got a little room to run, but he's going to be wrapped up short at about the 40-yard line, and that's about 2 yards shy. So Garden City will punt for the first time today.
Yeah, we talked about how important this drive was, right? At the end of that quarter where you go 17 plays and you don't get in the end zone from MacArthur, knowing then the Garden City offense is getting back on the field. But after those consecutive scores with the short field position that Garden City had, MacArthur's done a very good job defensively. I mean, they gave up the one big play, obviously, but other than that, they've done well.
So Isom is back to receive at the 30-yard line. Garden City kicking into the wind. And a high, wobbly kick. Isom's got to camp out under it, and he's taken down essentially right as he gets the ball. And Kyle Carney, again, who's been all over the field today, comes up with the special teams tackle.
A tremendous tackle by Carney, and that's that's ideal specials, right? Like if you go over the film and how you want your pursuit to go and how you want to be able to tackle, and especially realizing that it was Isom catching the ball, right, where you know if he can get a few yards and some momentum behind him, he is so dangerous. So a huge play there by Carney as MacArthur starts this second half on their own 34-yard line.
Trying to dig back in my memory banks. That might be the first 3 and out that Garden City has had this season. 1st and 10 for MacArthur from the 34-yard line. Handoff right side, Isom able to pick up about 6 or 7 there at the 40-yard line. Again, Ryan Muller is in at quarterback for MacArthur. Jack Butler, who started the game, went out with an injury late in that second quarter on a 4th down play, a 4th and 1, where he was able to convert and then was pushed back after getting that forward progress, kind of reached for his right knee, ended up getting taken off the field. So Ryan Muller, the junior, in at quarterback. He's seen some action this year, though. Ball comes out, and Garden City falls on top of it.
Yeah, Duffy was the ball handler, and it was Jack Archer who came up with that fumble. And Duffy had a lane. We'll take another look, and you can see the run by Duffy. He goes up the middle. It was difficult to see if he was stripped on the play, but certainly Archer with a big play defensively to pick up the ball out on the MacArthur 45-yard line.
Starting cornerback for Garden City coming in, and right spot, right time.
And that was a first down run too, Matt. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead, it's first down for Garden City inside MacArthur territory at the 45. Schmidt trying to scramble a little bit. Schmidt cuts inside one would-be tackler, able to pick up about 4 on a broken play. Trojans have made the most of it when they've had short field opportunities today. Their first 2 possessions started inside MacArthur territory, and they ended up scoring touchdowns on both of those drives.
4 yards for Schmidt, tackle by Randazzo.
2nd down and 6. Spread for Garden City with 4 wide receivers total. Here comes Carney in motion, play action. Schmidt will keep it himself. Schmidt, following his blockers, spins out of a tackle, and looks like he's right at the marker for a pickup of 6.
And again, Schmidt's a big guy, 6'2", 200. Obviously not scared of contact, certainly. He doesn't shy away, and he got the necessary 6 because he had that extra effort.
2 rushing touchdowns today. Touchdowns of 2 yards and 72 yards. And that play keeps the drive alive for Garden City. A little over 4 minutes gone by in this third quarter. 21-8 Trojans lead. Play action. Schmidt ranging to his left. He'll throw to the left side for his fullback. And Mike DeLuca for a fullback wide receiver.
That was a really good throw by Schmidt. This is not easy. Watch it again from this low angle. It's not easy to range to your left like that and just put it in a perfect spot for DeLuca, the 6-foot senior, to catch that ball. Another first down.
Throwing on the run across his body.
Yeah. And he just led DeLuca perfectly.
Man in motion for the Trojans. Little halfback option, and it's caught. Kyle Carney, the touchdown reception. As Cole Weber, the sophomore quarterback, came into the game. You know, Bob Fehrenbach, the MacArthur coach, talked about you always got to watch out for a trick play with Garden City. And they pull one off here.
Yeah, let's not be surprised here. Like you mentioned, right? This is not just a halfback. Weber is the backup QB, and the sophomore throws a perfect ball. And that's that trickery. In Garden City, they usually have one or two in their book per game, and that time paid major dividends.
Point after is good. So Cole Weber comes out, throws his first pass of the season, and hooks up with Kyle Carney for a touchdown. Garden City on top by 20 at home in their first home game of the season. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment on Varsity Media Sports Network.
Physical therapy at its finest.
Cole Weber, again, the sophomore quarterback, coming in and throwing a pass right on the money to Kyle Carney.
You mentioned all those sophomores. You forgot Weber, another lax stud as well. And that's got to kill you, too, if you're MacArthur, right? Because you do everything right, and you get a stop, and it's hard when you're – like, Fehrenbach warns him against a trick play, but you don't know what trick it's going to be, right?
Yeah. Picked up by Isom across the 30 and undercut at the 35-yard line. And it goes back to show you how big that fumble ends up becoming, right? Because you mentioned MacArthur came up with the stop, had the ball, were driving, had a first down on that run before Duffy is stripped of the ball and Garden City comes up with it.
And I feel like we say this, or I say this on every drive, but it is becoming more important, and you see it again. This was where Duffy gets the first down and then just loses it. But this now, again, a massive drive for MacArthur, because we've said it, they're not built for, even though they can get a quick play, as Isom scored on that 75-yard run, but they're not built to be a spread team, even though they do right now have 4 receivers.
And Muller, who was in the game, a snap to Isom, but Garden City had that read well. The high snap with Isom in at the Wildcat. Bergen had nowhere to go, and it's a loss of 5.
Yeah, that just blew up where you mentioned the high snap and you're already running Wildcat. Isom tries to hand off to Bergen, but well read. Again, Steve Fennell, their spectacular boys lacrosse coach. Very much the brains of this defensive unit here for Garden City.
So 2nd down and 15. And MacArthur staying with 4 wide. Muller throwing, hit the fingers of Paypack. Pardon me, that was Steve Weber, but out of his reach.
And that's where that broken up play or the play that went bad on that first down hurt you more now, because now you're in a 3rd and long. You can go 3 and out, again, short field position, and really putting yourselves behind the 8 ball.
And it's possible, with this, they're 3rd and 15. They end up passing the ball 3 times or twice on one 3-play series. Here's Muller dropping back, looking down the right sideline for Paypack, and the closest player to it was Garden City's Robert Durkash, who almost came up with an interception. Instead, it falls incomplete.
And now, again, considering where you are in the field, it is obviously a 3 and out, a punting situation. The plus out of maybe all of that, if you're MacArthur, is that you do have the wind at your back. So the deep men for Garden City are back at about their own 32-yard line.
So good snap to Randazzo.
Great
Randazzo
punt.
gets a good kick away.
Oh.
And it takes a MacArthur bounce all the way inside the 10-yard line. It's picked up at the 8. And Paypack comes up with a tackle here at the 14 or so.
That was a great tackle, too, by Paypack. That jersey was a medium. It's now a large. It was pulled out so much by Paypack. But if you're MacArthur, you couldn't have asked maybe for better out of that situation where you get a terrific punt, it takes a nice bounce, and you now force Garden City into their worst field position of the day. That being said, Bobby Fehrenbach's team is desperate for a stop here.
Yeah, with under 6 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, a 3-score advantage for Garden City.
And if you're Dave Ettinger, wouldn't you just love a MacArthur-esque drive here, right? 17 plays maybe. You just ground and pound it down the field, take the time off the clock.
Well, they certainly have that look when they come out with 3 in the backfield. Handoff up the middle, but the other thing about that is, MacArthur sees that every day in practice. So if anything, their defense, scout-wise, they are well suited to try and defend the run here.
That's one thing that Fehrenbach said, right? Like, where so many teams run spread and they go with their numbers wide, he said not many teams look like us. So it's hard for other teams to get used to us, but that's one of the situations where now the other team across from you, it's a regular look that you have at scout team.
Pitch to the left side for Archer. And Archer swallowed up by Matt Bergen. And that'll be about a 3-yard pickup. 3rd down and 5 coming up for Garden City.
3rd down and 6 for Garden City.
A difference here, I would say, is in the quarterback situation where you've got a 3rd down here, but Schmidt's been the guy who's been so used to these things.
And play action with Schmidt. Schmidt now rolling out to his right. Going to throw. Paypack breaks it up. And it'll fall incomplete. Paypack almost came away with an INT there. And it'll be 4th down for Garden City.
Yeah, Paypack is a wide receiver, right? So that's kind of his biggest thing. But again, they're a team that doesn't throw the ball a lot. So he's especially big on the defensive side. And he was a guy who was one of 4 10th graders on this team a year ago, along with Duffy. So probably the most amount of time among those sophomores. And this year as a junior, a 2-year varsity player, he's taken on more of a leadership role. He has a pick. He almost had his second there as well, and a big play on third down, which now forces Garden City to punt as there is a MacArthur lineman down behind the play.
Yeah, so hopefully everything is all right as far as the MacArthur player is down. Having trouble seeing the number. Oh, it looks like he's gonna
Get
get on right up, and it's Andrew Calderon.
That's a guy that you can't. You don't want to say you could afford a loss anywhere, but Calderon's a 3-year starter, a guy that goes both ways as well. 3-sport athlete too, wrestling, track. He's 6'2", 250, but Fehrenbach really credits his speed for being a bigger guy as well. Brother Dan, a year ago, starting tight end on that great MacArthur team, whose only loss a year ago was to these Trojans of Garden City.
So Calderon getting tended to. He just took his helmet off after sitting up. So we'll step aside a moment. 4.5 to go in this third quarter with Garden City on top 28-8.
Now is the time to promote your business on our broadcasts.
Now Farmingdale will fire and find the back of the net.
Top of the key, 4-3, good.
With viewership in the thousands, your company will get the local attention it needs. Best of all, we offer affordable rates. High school sports online audiences are growing. Take advantage by advertising with Varsity Media.
Hands off, 3-point shot is up and in. You back him back 3 yards, it doesn't matter. Touchdown, Freeport.
Contact us today, 516-403-2050, varsitymedia.net.
So Andrew Calderon able to walk off with a little bit of assistance, has the helmet off, and is heading over to the bench to get looked at. 4th down for Garden City as they are going to punt it away, but we have a whistle before that. Timeout taken by the Trojans.
Interesting, too, because there's only one deep man, and that was Bergen. You would have thought Isom would have been back there with him as well. But this is one of those, you certainly understand it from the Garden City perspective. You need to have everything right here. You can't afford a bad snap. You have to have your personnel exactly in the right spots because you are so deep in the field at the 18. You're punting it from your own 5.
And kicking into the wind.
Yes. So what you want here, Matt, is you want one of those like low line drives. You don't want to get it up into the jet stream where it's going to die.
So on that last drive, MacArthur had...
And they're coming, by the way,
yeah.
MacArthur.
And it is Bergen again back. They defend that rush well, but it's a shallow floating duck of a kick. Garden City touched it before.
Yeah,
that.
they did.
So MacArthur should get a couple more yards from where it's currently spotted. And the line judge did see that, so they're going to mark it accurately at the 31-yard line.
So now this shapes up really well if you are MacArthur to try to certainly get in the end zone and cut into your 20-point deficit with 4 minutes and change left in this third quarter. And you'd expect, again, maybe more of that diet, that steady diet that you had of Ryan Isom.
Isom and Bergen. Bergen's looked pretty good at points today. Bergen the fullback right now. Handoff does go to Isom, and Isom following him, along with Finn Duffy. So Isom able to pick up 4 or 5 there. About 4. So a 2nd and 6 coming up. And now a Garden City player is down.
Yeah, Isom gets into the secondary, gets himself forward. Again, a first half. That actually his first, I'm checking here, actually his second carry of the second half. And Isom in the first half with 15 carries for 134 yards.
Normally we do have or I don't know about normally, but it's not unusual to have warm weather the first few weeks of football season,
Yes.
and gradually it gets colder, and that's oftentimes where we see cramps happen. Guys start to go down like this, especially second half. But as it's spring, we've sort of had the opposite of that, where last week it was cold, and we had 2 back-to-back warm weather days this afternoon and yesterday. And guys, again, still getting into shape. If they didn't play a winter sport, they've been at it for 5 weeks.
What I wonder too, Matt, and you could probably speak better to this with like your physical training background. I wonder how this is going to affect going right from, like, for a lot of these players, right from football to lacrosse, because it's different.
It's different conditioning.
Different conditioning and different muscles that you're running, obviously, and there's physicality, but you wonder if that can then also cause some early season lacrosse injuries.
Yeah, not only that, but especially with these 2 programs, right? I know you're 16, 17, 18, so you have energy and all that stuff, but there's a situation where there could be a football practice followed by a lacrosse practice, and then you're all of a sudden practicing for 3-4 hours. This is Duffy getting the ball back after the fumble on the last drive, and picks up a good amount there and has a first down.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, right? Because that's part of our conversation with Bobby Fehrenbach, where he said, look, our guys late in the season, they will be bringing their lacrosse sticks to practice. And he said, look, if you need to get on the lacrosse field late in our practice, then so be it. I'm not going to hold anything against you. He's also got the situation where he's the softball coach, so I think daylight savings being huge for him, especially early in the season.
Isom. Well, he's just so – his vision and then how it translates to his ability to move through the tackles is really, really impressive.
So eight more yards for Isom.
But yes, programs also that have lights, they will probably have a bit of an advantage. Here's Isom trying to quickly get to the line. They didn't think Garden City was quite set defensively on a 2nd and short. And they were able to get a first down. So it'll be 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. As we're at the 3-minute mark of the 3rd quarter. And the clock will run once they get the ball set as well.
Isom now at 19 carries for 157 yards.
So 1st down and 5. The additional backs, Bergen, Isom, and Duffy. And it's Bergen with the carry. Make it Duffy, pardon me.
One more. Isom.
The 28 and the 26 are a little tough at times. You tried to help me out there, and I went the other way.
I did, yeah.
Down the roster instead of up.
That's all right.
So Muller under center. Isom to the left side. This is Isom this time, and Isom tackled from behind wonderfully by Colin Walsh.
I think Sawyer Olsen, too, was maybe the first in on that contact.
So 3rd down and goal from the 3. And some of the Garden City fans in attendance trying to will their defense to a stop. Muller under center, handoff Isom. Isom lowers the shoulder, and Isom lost the ball. Think he got it back, but again, out of the end zone.
Yeah, right away, the officials with fists raised for 4th down. So Isom gets to the 1.
And with the score as it is, 28-8, MacArthur will not go for a field goal. They're going to go for it on 4th and goal from the inside the 2.
Stacked backfield.
Larkin is the fullback right now. keeper for Muller. Muller trying to lower his shoulder. MacArthur saying they're in, and they are. Touchdown for Ryan Muller, his second rushing touchdown of the year. And MacArthur able to make the most of the short field and find their way into the end zone.
Yeah, you expect, and here's a great look from down low. You expect those dudes up front, right, to provide the push that you need. They did just that. And a massive score to keep MacArthur in this game.
So Accordino on for her first point after attempt today. 0 for 1 for a 35-yard field goal. And this one is good. So a 28-15 advantage for Garden City now. Final minute of the third quarter. Garden City will have it when we come back on Varsity Media Sports Network. Big drive for MacArthur there, finalizing or capitalizing with the touchdown. And Dylan, the Generals still giving themselves an opportunity here as we move to the fourth quarter. Here's Carney out across the 35-yard line and taken down by Weber.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's still too early to say this, but you wonder if that two-point conversion early on might loom large. And again, it came off a Garden City penalty, and they were going to go for the extra point. MacArthur was. They went for two. They capitalized, and with Butler punching it in. But if they can get a stop here, all of a sudden we've got a ball game. And again, a year ago, MacArthur snapped Garden City's 42 game-winning streak, which was tied for the longest in Long Island history with the great William Floyd teams of the early 2000s.
So 45 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Man in motion for Garden City. It's Weber again, who we saw throw that touchdown pass a moment ago. This time he's upended by Finn Duffy.
Yeah, that one blew up. It certainly didn't. That's not what was intended there. It looked like maybe, unless it was Weber trying to go off and look for another pass, but Duffy read it well, pushed him back. So a loss of 3 on that play as this third quarter is winding down.
We'll see if Garden City elects to run another play or not with 15 seconds left.
And it looks like they will not.
So they will have it 2nd and 10 as we begin the fourth quarter. We'll switch fields. They'll have the wind at their back during the fourth quarter. So at the moment, we'd like to thank our sponsors for today's broadcast. Steam Squad, got dirt, got stains, got stink. Get the Steam Squad. Book now and get 10% off when you mention this ad, steamsquad.com or 516-567-8966. Optimum Pest Control. Protect your home with Optimum Pest Control, a company you can trust. 15% off mosquito service as we move into summer. Of course, that's big until May 1st. Call them at 516-509-8362. The Sandwolf Quarterback Academy is a premier groundbreaking program in the world of athletics. They are athlete-specific, and their attention to detail and genuine care for their athletes are second to none. The bonds they create are lifetime bonds. Contact them today at 804-986-2821. And if you came by Old Country Road to Garden City High School today, the Carl Place Diner. You probably passed it.
I did.
They've been proudly serving Long Island for over 35 years, open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week, and serving up all your diner favorites. Located at 151 Old Country Road, Carl Place, New York, right across from the Roosevelt Field Mall.
Yeah. Yeah, it was exactly right past my route.
Yeah.
And you know, I did get here early enough and thought about, you know, do I stop in, get a little something, but packed out. Of course, as I should have expected, right?
Especially with, I think, capacity able to get up to 75%, right? Here's Kyle Carney, and it's Schmidt keeping it himself.
Duffy again.
MacArthur, they've been had by that a couple times today, but it seems like they are picking it up and identifying it a little bit quicker now.
Yeah, only 1 yard there, and look, if you can avoid a big play here, you're right. I mean, this is a ball game for MacArthur. They've done such a good job, MacArthur has, defensively, especially in this, really after the first 2 drives.
3rd and 12, play action. There's Schmidt. He'll jump up. Nowhere to go. Jumped on by Andrew Calderon. And maybe got a yard, if that. It'll be 4th and 12, and Garden City will have to punt.
Yeah, you give Cacase as well some credit. He was the other in on that, and those are some big dudes with Calderon and Cacase, both 250 plus, so you get the stop. If you were MacArthur, and a big one at that.
So Isom back, as well as Bergen. Good punt end over end. Isom has to backtrack a little bit to the 35, and again, Garden City, good special teams tackle. That was Carney again.
He's been huge on specials, and MacArthur takes over. They punched it in on their last drive, a 1 yard touchdown run, and by Muller. That capped an 8-play, 31-yard drive. And now they'll have to go a little bit further to find the end zone again here.
So 10.5 to go in this contest in the 4th quarter. 28-15, Garden City leads. 3 of Garden City's 4 touchdowns today. You mentioned the good job that MacArthur's defense has done after that first couple drives. 3 of them have come starting in MacArthur territory. And then the 4th was one big play by the quarterback Schmidt.
And we mentioned it too, right? Like, this game, and neither coach necessarily wants to say it, but because it would almost sound disrespectful to future opponents, but this game looms absolutely large. Cascadin was down behind the play. He is being there. You see him being helped off. But again, in regular years, like Fehrenbach said leading up to this game is likely for pecking order, right, in National Conference 2. Regular years, what does that mean? It means what sideline you're going to be at Hofstra, right, which locker room you get at Stewart Stadium. This year it means if you're playing on your campus, which is huge. When you think about teams trying to vie for a county title.
Not only that, but you saw it last week with Garden City. You could have potentially, and Bob Fehrenbach talked about this, as we have a 1st and 10, handoff to Isom. Isom's got a first down across midfield and gets a few more after that, a pickup of 16. And MacArthur is in business. So, you know, Bob Fehrenbach talked about this in terms of philosophically and how they're talking to the team, but this could be your last game of the season, which sounds kind of trite, but Garden City had a game called off last week. They go right back to the well for Isom again, and Isom has 5-6 more yards. So again, as cliche as it sounds, every game in a shortened season, when you don't know week to week if you're definitely going to play, every game is of the utmost importance.
Yeah, I mean, we joked with him leading up, but saying, you know, we take it day by day. Well, in quote-unquote normal times, that's coach speak, but it's the reality in the world that we're in now.
2nd and 4, Isom's got it, bounces off one tackle, and, man, he was hit at the line of scrimmage. Continued on moving his legs out to the right side, And if he doesn't have a first down, it's close. And a Garden City defender is down. And again, it's tough to say. Cascaden, fortunately, was able to walk off on himself. It seems like, conditioning is becoming more of a factor here. Again, Garden City didn't play last week. They had a pretty big lead in week 1, so they had a lot of different guys playing. So this is the most time starter minutes that starters are seeing through the first few weeks of the season.
And a warmer day than
for sure
than we've had in other weeks as well. And as you said, right, for Garden City, it's kind of a tale of 2 weeks where, again, in our conversation with Fehrenbach, we were like, well, Garden City's not played. Are they stale? He said, yeah, but they've also had more time to prepare for us now. So it's like you could look at it
either way.
Staub is up on his own, walking on his own, which is good to see. Good ovation as well for the junior. So 3 more yards on that run, which, by the way, gets Isom up to 187 yards on 25 carries.
So that run was just a bit short, so we've got 3rd and inches coming up. Run off to the left side, and it's good for a first down, as I believe this is Bergen on the carry. And it was, in fact, Bergen, and Bergen's able to pick up 5 down to the 31. So most of their runs on this drive have been off that right side with Isom. First carry by Bergen on this possession, and it's good for a first down. This time they go Isom off the right side again, changes direction, cuts back to the right, and Isom able to get another 5 yards. They're just moving very efficiently on the ground on this possession.
Did you see his feet on this, Matt? You wonder if he's like a dancer, right, as well. So shifty. And just the crisp, quick cuts as well.
2nd down and 5. Isom trying to bounce outside. He does. He's across the 20, first down, and out of bounds at about the 17-yard line. Boy, that one took a while to develop, and Isom turned on another gear once he saw the opportunity.
Listen, I got to tell you, you almost wonder if they're selling Isom short because, again, we said leading in that there is no Hugh Kelleher on this team, but I'm telling you right now, Ryan Isom is playing the part of Hugh Kelleher, putting on that cape and really trying to lead these Generals into back-to-back wins at Garden City.
He's been a workhorse for them through the first 2 weeks, averaging 19 carries in those first 2 games. And we'll have a whistle, and Garden City jumped. So MacArthur will have a free 5 yards.
Isom now 2 yards away from 200 on the day.
He had 257 through 2 games coming into this one. So it'll be a first down and 5. For a lot of teams, that might change what they did play selection-wise, but probably not much for MacArthur here. Here's a handoff to Duffy, as Duffy picked up 3 there, and it'll be a 2nd down and short for MacArthur.
And when you can get those kind of yards from Duffy, just give Isom a little bit of a break. So important.
Isom back in after that momentary reprieve. Again, Ryan Muller, who did not start this game, in at quarterback. Isom, first down, plenty to go.
It's not even the second point of contact at this point, right? It's like the third guy finally gets him down. He'll go over 200 yards. You wonder how many of those are yards after initial contact, right? There's the first guy. There's the second guy. Finally, the third guy gets him down.
You know, Dylan, we used to hear this talked a lot about much more at the college and pro level. I feel like you don't hear it as much, but a running back like this, he tires out the defense come second half, especially when we've seen some of the cramp issues with the heat.
Well, the offside as well. Right? Mentally,
yeah,
they're getting tired.
It's a give to Duffy. Duffy trying to cut back upfield. Garden City had it read out well. It's a loss of 1.
Finn Duffy's rush is good for no yards on the play. Will remain second and goal.
Second and goal. It's from the 7. Garden City defense trying to stand up with 7:40 to go in this one. A 2-score advantage for the home team. Duffy back in off that left side. Coach Fehrenbach trying to keep guys fresh on this drive. Handoff does go left side. This is for Bergen, and Bergen tackled inside the 5.
Will Peters in on the tackle.
So they'll mark that at the 4, and it'll be 3rd down and goal from the 4-yard line.
It's got to be a call for Isom at this point, right? You'd think.
Well, they gave him a couple of plays off, and he's back in now. He will be the left halfback, with Bergen being the right halfback. 3rd and goal from the 4. 6:50 to go in the 4th quarter. Handoff, Isom, right side. Garden City's got it read out well, and Isom's got nowhere to go. 1-yard pickup and 4th down. And if you're MacArthur, you're down by 13, so a field goal doesn't do anything for you. Got to go for it here.
On their last similar situation, 4th and goal from the 1, it was Muller who punched it in on the keeper.
Defense chant from the Garden City home crowd. 6:10 and ticking to go in this one. In a 2-score game, MacArthur trying to cut that to 1. We'll have a timeout from the Garden City sideline. Steve Fennell wanting to talk things over defensively with his crew.
13th play of the drive for MacArthur. We saw a 17-play drive late in the first half go for no points, and anything but a score here likely means Garden City walks away with another win. Remarkable to think, too, over the course of their last 49 games, Garden City is 47-2. Obviously, they lost twice, and those both came last year. The first being to MacArthur, which snapped that 42-game winning streak. Garden City avenged that defeat at Schuett Stadium with that late field goal, and we expected this one to be a tight ball game, certainly the tightest that Garden City would likely play. Again, no disrespect to their opposition this year, but considering these are the top 2 seeds, you know, Garden City's got Sewanaka, Mepham, and Southside for the rest of the way. So this one is their biggest competition, and now this their biggest opportunity defensively for 4th and goal from the 3.
So following the timeout, they line up. Handoff goes to Isom. Isom trying to string it out, trying to cut upfield, dives for the pylon, he's in! Ryan Isom must have ran about 20 yards to get that 3. And MacArthur is within a score.
The GPS would have told you that wasn't the best route, but the other, when you can get Isom out in the space, that's what's most important. Here you see it again. Cutting to the outside, he's got defenders chasing him the entire way. Dives into the end zone. Staub was chasing him, but he gets in for the touchdown.
Cardino on for the point after. And that is good. And that is a big one. It cuts it to a 6-point game with 5:56 to go in this one. So Garden City still with a lead. They get the ball and an opportunity to put together a drive much like MacArthur did a moment ago. Midway through this fourth quarter, a 6-point contest. Stay with us on Varsity Media Sports Network.
Are you settling for a boring live stream? Can't see the players' uniforms? No audio? Camera not following the action? Consider a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Our announcers help tell the story of your game.
Goes MacArthur. He's got. He's in. Touchdown, Farmingdale.
We feature multiple camera angles, guaranteed to capture all the action.
Touchdown, Oceanside!
Plus added features like graphics, instant replay.
Yeah, the shooters are going to shoot here at Bethpage, and one of many threes on the day.
Interviews, and more. It's your time to shine. And with Varsity Media, now you can. Contact us today and book a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone 516-403.
So we got ourselves a game. MacArthur kicking off. Taken by the up man of Garden City at the 30-yard line. And spun down. That was Steve Fennell Jr. at the 33. Ryan Isom Dillon putting in workhorses for MacArthur in this contest.
Yeah, 30 carries for 208 yards and a pair of touchdowns. But now he'll go on the other side of the ball and look to force Garden City into their third consecutive 3-and-out. This is a Garden City team that used that great field position to score on their first two possessions, and then a long touchdown run by Luke Schmidt as well, and it looked like they were in total control, but MacArthur has just chipped away. They've worked their way back into it, and now, with 5:50 left, they're within 6 points.
And you'd think that they would use as much clock in between running plays as possible as well. High formation for Garden City. Give up the gut for Archer. And Archer is able to get 6 there on first down.
And timeouts aren't a concern right now either. But you're right. If Garden City can string a few first downs together, now all of a sudden the time becomes a major factor.
5:17 to go in this one. Second down and 5 for Garden City. Cascade in the backfield. Schmidt looking upfield. Spun down at the 40, almost lost the ball. He put his offhand on to the ball as he was getting tackled. And it will be 3rd down and 2.
Yeah, and the tackle there was Ryan Larkin, the junior, number 17.
I've seen some time at fullback as well. This his first game of the season after missing a couple with contact tracing. Third down and 2. Time under 4.5. Schmidt pitched left side for Cascadin. Cascadin's got some room to run. Turns upfield, has a first down before he's hit at the 44-yard line. It's a big 2 yards for Garden City.
Yeah, massive, and you can see Cascadin. He'll get the early block right there, and he gets just enough what he needs. It looked like it was
Matt Kephart.
Well, and Michael Haas as well, 75.
And again, just that one first down that really starts to make time a factor, even if Garden City's not able to score. First down and 10 from the 44. This is Archer. Archer strung out in the backfield, loss of 2. As Matt Casase was there for the stop.
And we do have a timeout here by MacArthur on that loss.
Timeout called by the generals.
Probably well used at that time. Garden City running the ball. MacArthur defense comes up with a stop, so Fehrenbach both trying to keep time on their side, and if they can use the field to their advantage at any point.
When we spoke to Fehrenbach, we referenced those games last year, and he said, look, they were two outstanding games regardless of who won. It was unfortunate that his team, he said, couldn't take out that last one, but he asked them about the revenge factor, right? And he said, look, it's regular season versus playoffs. You're not going to make up for that in this week of the regular season. But the players who were there, and there's multiple of here, they were there. He said they had the taste in their mouth. He said, should we meet again in the playoffs? So that's the one that's going to really matter. He said last year is last year. He's not going to use it as motivation. He said they don't need to be reminded because they lived it.
Yeah, and again, just as we talked about before, that playoff seeding is probably even more important this year than in other years because of the opportunity for a home game.
Fehrenbach, a 1984 graduate of MacArthur High School. He was an assistant coach from 1991 to 1998, named head coach 99. So in that community, he is MacArthur through and through, and he's trying to lead his team here to another win here at Garden City, but they've got to get a stop.
Trojans have the lead and possession. Schmidt will dump it off. Find Carney. Carney trying to leap forward for a first down, and he does.
What a play by Carney.
He has been a thorn in MacArthur's side all afternoon long.
That extra effort you see there, that cut inside, that's what got him the first down and the fresh set of downs with the clock continuing to move.
Clock runs as the ball is set. 3:15 remaining in this contest. And Garden City can take off probably another 2 minutes without even having to get a first down.
And then you'd put MacArthur into a position of needing that big play in a short amount of time.
Well, here's Archer looking for a big play. Archer, head Z play. He slides down before going out of bounds to keep the clock moving once they reset the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. So heady. Here you see it again. Watch Archer. He could go for more, right? He's wrapped up. He feels the defender, and yeah, what a smart play. He could have just continued his momentum, gone out of bounds, but just that little extra will now take off that much more time off the clock. That's a senior who's been on this team for a few years. That's the kind of play that you get from him.
Under 2.5 to go. Here goes Carney in motion. Carney will take the ball.
Oh, Archer.
Side.
Pancake block by Archer. He wasn't out at the Carl Place Diner, but that's a pancake for you on Archer. Carney gets out, forcing now MacArthur to take another timeout.
So MacArthur takes that timeout with 2:16 to go. And Garden City, we talked earlier about Bobby Fehrenbach and him saying his defense has played a bend but don't break style of game. Well, right now, if you look at the way that Garden City's played, MacArthur, second half, they've had their opportunities. Garden City's been timely in their chances, creating the fumble. And now, just as MacArthur comes back, scores about 5.5 minutes left, the Trojans are taking care of business offensively, and at this point, MacArthur may not even have another opportunity to come back in this one.
Yeah, 3 first downs on this drive. So even if it's not a drive that results in points, more importantly, it's taken the points or the time off the clock. It was 5:56 that was on the clock after that Ryan Isom 3-yard touchdown run, and now you can see we're a little more than 3 minutes into this possession for Garden City.
And they haven't had high stress downage in this drive either. They haven't had like a 3rd and long or anything like that.
Only 1 third down, and that was a 3rd and 2.
Pitch to the right side for Archer, who's doing work on this last drive. Archer, first down to the 15.
All right, so again, this is a situation where Archer, right, he takes the handoff. It's a high one. And it's, again, that cut inside. One, again, he realizes time and score, right? But he gets those extra yards for the first down as well.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure you're staying around the hash marks or inside the numbers at least. Under 2 to play.
12 more yards on that.
As Archer has been the featured back on this drive. Carney in motion to keeper for Schmidt, diving forward for a pickup of 3.
And that forces another timeout.
That's the last MacArthur timeout.
But it's interesting, Matt, this is the biggest drive of the game, right? If you are Garden City, look at the players who have stepped up for you in this drive. Pierce Archer, Jack Cascadden, Luke Schmidt. These are all seasoned veteran guys who were major parts of that 4th consecutive county championship, 24th overall as well. And again, football might not be their main sport. They're going to go on and certainly play in the later spring lacrosse season, but they're showing in this drive that prowess, that sort of championship mentality that they have, how to close out a game.
Dave Ettinger told us before the game that in order for Garden City to win, they'd have to be able to match the physicality of MacArthur, and especially on this drive, they're doing just that. They're winning the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball. They're giving Archer, Cascadden, Schmidt plenty of room to work. And again, the intelligence plays as well.
Yeah, 4 first downs on this drive. Again, the only 3rd down was a 3rd and 2. And this is the 10th play of a drive.
Pitch for Archer. Archer's got room to run. He steps into the end zone.
Well, Archer, well-deserved, gets the touchdown, a 12-yard touchdown run, and here you see it again. When you get the blocks like this, I mean, look at that hole. A massive one that opened up, a crater right in the middle of that line, and Archer just tiptoed through it, and he might as well have just sashayed his way into the end zone.
So Gerard O'Connor on. And the kick is good.
What a drive.
Say what a drive, what an answer as well to what MacArthur did at the start of this 4th quarter.
And again, it was a situation, Matt, where on your 2 prior drives, you went 3 and out. And MacArthur had all the momentum in the world. And then you just go, 70 or 67 yards down the field. You get first down after first down, and you take off, 129 now. You take off more than 4 minutes of the clock, as well as getting the touchdown by Archer. 10-play drive.
So Garden City, who started this game up 14-0 before MacArthur had a chance to really get a first down. And but give the Generals credit. They made this a game. They had an opportunity to at least defensively try and get it back late. And Garden City, again, showing their senior prowess. Senior in terms of guys that have played, not necessarily senior class, in Cascadden and Schmidt. but they're veteran guys who have some time on the field. Those guys stepping up in the big moments for the Trojans.
And when you look at MacArthur's rest of the road in this abbreviated regular season, well, they've got Elmont next week at home. They're at Valley Stream Central, and then they're home for Cary to end the season. So, we've seen a few teams at least, right, and Nassau Conference 2, and I don't think this will be the last meeting between these two teams this year, but it might also not be the last meeting here.
Low short kick. And here's Isom trying to dance around.
Oh, face mask?
Yeah, it looked like it. I mentioned it, Dylan, in the first game of the season against Cary, but I think worth mentioning here as well, being that this is the first Garden City home game. It's the first time that Garden City's taken this field without Coach Flatley around.
Yeah. Which is remarkable to think, right? I mean, first it was, we're in the Jack White press box, and Jack White in Garden City, but also for Nassau County, just the staple. With a wealth of information of stats and between Coach Flatley and Jack White, I mean, these are guys that for generations they've just been part of this program, and it's certainly strange to think that they're both not here anymore.
MacArthur looking to air the ball out. Paysack on the reception, gets out of bounds across the 40-yard line with 74 seconds to play.
And you're right, like when they had a moment of silence for Tom Flatley before the game, I was even thinking, wow, that's right. I mean, it's been so long since we've been here, but it's remarkable to think this is the first home game that he's not been a part of in
since 84,
so,
85.
Yeah.
And some of the players wearing the arm sleeves that say Flatley on them. Pass to the near side. It's complete. I saw a coach wearing in Flats We Trust t-shirt, and I think the players also ordered some of those, and they were waiting for them to come in a couple weeks back.
Was that at the same seamstress that helped out Brendan Stobbs?
Could be. I think the t-shirt order might be a taller order for one person.
Fair.
Throwing on the run, pass broken up and pulled down on the sideline. And Colin Walsh was excited about that. He tried to sell it a little bit. He's like, I'm out of bounds, but still caught it.
He's gonna ask the coaches for an INT on that.
But Dylan, I think you're right. Saying that this is probably not the last time these two teams will face each other. And again, you never know as it relates to testing or anything like that. 3rd down and 6. Deep ball for Paysack, and Paysack, what a grab. The adjustment, keeping his feet in bounds with a defender right in front of him. 5'10" junior going up for that one.
And I'll tell you what, too, Muller got tattooed by Vertubra as well, and Paypack a tremendous grab. And again, we're not, this is a team that doesn't throw the ball a lot, right? So we're not used to seeing his ability as a wide receiver. We see him more in the defensive secondary, but he can grab the ball.
With the two quarterbacks splitting time coming into this game, Ryan Muller had thrown the ball twice on the season.
Well, Paypack's been his guy, too.
Handoff going for Isom. And that's a touchdown. So Ryan Isom, it's his 3rd touchdown of the game. And you know what, Dylan? 28 seconds left.
Little onside kick. Yeah. Crazier things have happened. And I think if you're Coach Fennell and you're in the film room, that's one that you're like, we can't give up, guys.
Yeah.
I know that he's shifting. I know that he's had a day, but you've got to find a way to stop him on that.
At Cordino on for the point after. And that is good.
Extra point is good.
She's been great.
Yeah.
Garden City leads MacArthur 35-29.
Good on all PATs. Missed a 35-yard field goal earlier in the game.
And she had the distance.
Had the distance.
On that as well.
But you mentioned it before. And again, a lot can happen, right? They'll try an onside kick, and it's 28.6 seconds left. But the 2-point conversion off the Garden City penalty, if MacArthur is somehow able to score here, it gives them an opportunity to win with a point after rather than tie.
How crazy is that, too? Because you consider, a minute 29, Archer gets in the end zone, and it's 35-22, game over. But MacArthur doing what MacArthur is not used to doing, just getting it out in the air and finding payback on a couple of big receptions and the touchdown run by Isom, which now has him at 31 carries for 231 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Some good fantasy numbers.
Seriously.
All right, so we will see the hands team come out.
Yeah, let's see. Well, you've got Archer up top, which is important, certainly.
And Gracia is the deep person for Garden City. Durkash up top there as well, next to Archer. Liam Westfield. So MacArthur will try an onside kick. 28.6 seconds left. Little squib kick, has the distance. Ball is kicked around, and it looks like Garden City's got it.
They do, but I tell you what. I mean, it made the 10 yards that you need, but that was dicey.
Jack Green was the Garden City player to fall on top of it.
That was dicey for a second. So Garden City will improve to 2-0 on the year. We got clarification. We thought maybe with that game that got called off, do you get a forfeit? But they don't. It's just a game that's not.
Only a forfeit when the team, because of if the other team isn't testing and they don't want to play. That is the only time that we'll have a forfeit considered on the year. But I suppose we'll have to see what that rule is come playoff time, too.
Yeah. Well, we hope it's not something we have to worry about, right?
Yeah. So Garden City will take a knee. That will put a ribbon on this one as Garden City bends but doesn't break. 35-29 as they move to 2-0 on the season, defeating MacArthur this afternoon.
Yeah, so Garden City now 48 in their last 50 ball games, 2-0 on the year. MacArthur suffers their first defeat of the year. The two head coaches, with the mutual respect, they shake hands. Of course, the new protocol they have, the teams do not exchange handshakes, which to me is weird because you're doing physical battle all game long, but it is what it is. Garden City getting out to that early lead, scoring on those first 2 drives, and then a long touchdown run by Luke Schmidt. They got that first taste of adversity this year when MacArthur fought back through Ryan Isom, and they had some big plays and momentum just as it seemed like it shifted to the Generals. Garden City with a championship-type drive that Archer capped a 10-play, 67-yard drive with that 12-yard touchdown. And, yes, they did give up the late touchdown to Isom. Yes, they needed the hand team late, but that's really kind of what provided the difference here this afternoon for Garden City to emerge victorious against MacArthur.
Again, the Trojans moving to 2-0 on the season, a 35-29 victory, and really a good game between both clubs. And again, as we mentioned, we wouldn't be surprised if these two teams meet in a few weeks whenever playoffs come to pass. 35-29, your final score. Garden City improving to 2-0 on this young and abbreviated season. For everybody involved in our broadcast, for our executive producer, Ben Turchin, for Dylan Butler, I'm Matt Shortis saying so long, and we'll see you next time on Varsity Media Sports Network.